BFree joins forces with Championship Wrestling to bring you the all-new Championship Wrestling podcast. And here's your host, Dustin Starr, featuring special guest,
BFree CBD,
founder of BFree CBD, Daryl Bird. Here we go!
Body aches gone, leg pain gone, back pain gone, relaxation on.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to episode 22 of the all-new Championship Wrestling podcast, presented by BFree CBD. Happy June. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me wherever you are. I am Dustin Starr, coming to you from the wrestling capital of the world, Memphis, Tennessee, and today we're going to talk to the voice of Championship Wrestling, Todd Keneley. Can't wait. But before we get to Todd, we want you to head over to BFreeCBD.com. BFree CBD, they're perfect for aches and pains. Or if you're just struggling with anxiety, especially in today's day and age, check out their oils, bath bombs, and even flour and gummies. Oh my gosh, I love the gummies. Follow at BFree CBD on social media. And again, that's the letter B, Free CBD. Go ahead and follow at CW30 Wrestling. And of course, I'm at Dustin Starr. You are going to love my interview today with Todd Keneley. That's coming up next. We're going to talk to him about being the voice of Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle in Memphis, Tennessee, every Saturday at high noon on CW30 Memphis, and of course on YouTube Premiere, over a year now. He's also the voice of Lights Out Extreme Fighting, MMA, and then he has some great stories that I know you're going to love, including a story about The Undertaker. So stick around for that one. I'll also recap Saturday's Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle, where we told the story of the group known as Static and how that all kind of came together. You know I was loving that. Then we're going to look ahead at what's coming up this week, where you can find Championship Wrestling in the news, and of course I'm going to answer your questions in the mailbag. But first, right now, it's the voice of Championship Wrestling, Todd Keneley.
The all-new Championship Wrestling podcast is presented by BFree CBD.
Howdy. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, you're definitely getting there, Dustin, and I appreciate the effort. And let's go. Howdy!
BFreeCBD.com joins forces with Championship Wrestling to help you be and feel your best.
TK Todd Keneley, the voice of Championship Wrestling. Man, what's it feel like to hear people say that?
It's an honor, man, especially when we're going on, over a decade of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So I've been in it for the long haul. I've been able to see a lot of amazing moments and some great ones recently. I'm really happy where the product's going right now. It's an exciting time. Obviously, we've been down on the down low, but we're gearing up for good things. And, I'm happy to have the longevity and to have met and worked with so many great people over the years.
Yeah, and you have one of the best jobs in all of sports. That doesn't mean it's easy. I know the prep work and everything that goes behind it, but literally, you've got the best seat in the house at all these great events, and now all of a sudden, just like myself and many people listening, all of a sudden it just stopped. So how are you adapting during this downtime?
Just, trying to stay active. You guys have been doing a great job by cutting together your own unique version of the show each week and kind of cherry picking some great matches from the year of Championship Wrestling, CW30. So I've been jumping in on that live chat Saturday mornings and giving my 2 cents and kind of my thought process on a few things and then we shot some on camera for our Championship Wrestling from Hollywood version of the show that that airs out here on KDOC and on Fight. So I've done some studio stuff, and we're doing a lot of really cool things coming up with some new segments and some podcast type stuff in our own right. And so I've been kind of instrumental in that. I had the daunting task of trying to write kind of the history of the United Wrestling Network, which you can see now on UnitedWrestlingTV.com under the About section. And boy, it was hard to know what to include, what not to include, but I did my best to give the Cliff's Notes version.
I bet. We're talking to Todd Keneley. Be sure to follow him on social media. He's on Twitter at Todd Keneley. So you broadcast for Championship Wrestling, and that's the Hollywood version, and we hear you here in Memphis as well. You also broadcast for Mixed Martial Arts, and I'm sure that's a fun conversation when you meet somebody and they say, "So, what do you do for a living?" Well,
we'll try this on for size.
Yeah, like, and then it's like, no way, really?
That's always the case. Yeah, and it's I've been able to do some really cool things. The mixed martial arts stuff just snowballed from wrestling. I back in the day, I started with UPW, which was Rick Bassman's promotion out of Southern California. So I was there, man. I saw John Cena when he was the prototype and came walking out like a robot. I saw Samoa Joe when he came out with a Hawaiian flower print shirt on. I was there for a lot of those guys early days. Kazarian and Daniels, they were all there. And then Rick ended up branching out and he formed Valor Fighting. And so then I had to be a wrestling commentator that knew enough about MMA to get by.
Right.
And it led to some great opportunities. I ended up working for Elite XC when it was on CBS, and now I'm working for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, which airs on Fox Sports Networks out here regionally. And it's been cool. I definitely bring a lot of the flair and the storytelling, the pro wrestling side, to my MMA commentary, and I think vice versa. When I see a match that's really technical, now I can call it in that MMA style as well when I'm calling pro wrestling. So I think it's helped me to kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you talked about the YouTube live chat. That's on YouTube at CW30 Wrestling. And one of my favorite parts, other than the fans just going nuts when something surprising happens, which is like every episode, but it's your call, and you and Dan Joseph together were fantastic. The way that you tell a story and the way that you have instant, it's almost like the Jim Ross syndrome, to where anytime a big moment happened, he had something ready to say. And you do too. Is that something you prep? Like, a show might end like this, so you're going to have something already ready? Or is that something you just do off the cuff? Because it's fantastic, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I got to be honest, it really is off the cuff. I mean, I will definitely do my prep work in terms of talent background and training and, how they want their character put over and signature stuff that they're going to go for, finishers, all that stuff. Of course, you're going to take notes, but everything else is really a feeling process. And I really feel that the best calls are organic calls. And I don't sit there and jot down phrases and stuff. I mean, I call it as I see it, and it's just what comes out. And a lot of times I know it, I'm like not trying to hoist my own sail, but it's like I get a kick out of going back and watching stuff, because I'll hear stuff. Oh man, I don't remember saying that, or I don't know where that came from, because when you're calling it, your mind is just going a million miles an hour. And you mentioned it. Like, I don't think people realize how tough it is after you've called, say a 2 to 3 hour TV taping. It's exhausting because your brain is working overtime, and I'm a true fan, born and raised. I've been a wrestling fan ever since I can remember. So I still enjoy the action. It's not canned at all, man. When you hear enthusiasm, it's legit, because I am first and foremost a wrestling fan.
Yeah, talking to Todd Keneley, man, I'll never forget myself and my Maria making our debut out in Hollywood, and just the way that you and let's be honest, there are people there's 132 markets across the United States where that show airs. And there were a lot of people that had no idea who we were, but by the time we entered and exited the ring, which might have been 10 minutes, gosh, you put us over like $1 million. So I appreciate that. And just talking about like moments like that, like entering the red carpet rumble, you got to have a favorite match, or if it's not a favorite match, you got to have like a favorite moment. What's the favorite moment or match that you've been able to call in your career?
In terms of United and Hollywood, I'd say it was probably the first NWA World's Heavyweight Title match with Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana, in which Cabana finally won the title for the first time.
Nice.
And it was just it was that electric atmosphere at the Showcase Theater where we filmed at the time, and it just to call an NWA World's Heavyweight title change for the first time in my broadcasting career, that felt special, so that was great. Outside of United, I got to call Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in Melbourne, Australia.
Woo!
Yes, Nature Boy. And I did backstage stand-up interviews with both, with Hulk and Flair. And so me trying to keep a straight face and not crack with that. And Hulk, at the end, he was playing the hits, God created the heavens, he created the earth, seventh day, the 24-inch python's brother, and this is where the power lies. He was rattling them all off. And at the end, he's like, so you know what, little dude, as he pokes me in the chest, he goes, there's only one thing left to say, what you're going to do, Ric Flair, and it's like, I can't believe I'm standing here right now.
That is too
the
cool.
Mean Gene role. And then did a backstage interview with Flair, and at the end, he's, wooing up a storm and looks me right between the eyes and just gives me a huge woo, and I, he just sell it, pop back, and it was crazy. And they went out and called it, and Eric Bishoff was on color for that match. So that was crazy. But I think one thing that I'm really proud of was first match on Impact, because this was an interesting scenario, and it's like you just never know what's going to happen. I was under the impression I had talked to Eric Bischoff. This was after Australia and everything like that, and got flown out. I thought I was going out to audition. I get there that morning, go to a production meeting, and Eric was like, hey everybody, this is Todd. He's going to call the first hour with JB. So I find out on the spot that I'm calling this live TV on Impact, calling it the first hour with Jeremy Borash. We had never met. We had never worked together. And, we just kind of sat throughout the afternoon, put some matches on a laptop, just kind of practiced our chemistry a little bit, and then went out there and flew without a net, baptism by fire, and called the first half of Impact. And, it went really well, and I felt really good about it, and obviously stayed on after that. Because, years prior, I had had opportunities in auditions at WWE, and you get out there in that studio and that bright light goes on, and, as good as I feel that I am at this, it's everything you've ever hoped for right in front of your eyes, your destiny. Which road are you going to do? And man, I froze for the on cameras. I was shaky, I was deer in the headlights. And I've called so many shows, and I've never had that happen. But for some reason at WWE, I just froze up, and they flew me out, several times, just never pulled the trigger for whatever reason. So when the time came for that live debut on Impact, and everything, went smooth, that was a big monkey off my back. Like, okay, if nerves were ever going to be a problem, it would be getting thrown on live TV, and I passed that test with flying colors. That definitely made me feel better about myself.
Oh man, Todd, I could literally talk professional wrestling with you all day and all night. I promise you. But I want to wrap up real quick. Man, you just told stories about promos with Hogan and Flair, but you were a druid for the Undertaker. You've played defensive tackle at USC. I mean, what have you not done, Todd?
I've lived a life, Dustin 5-star.
Yes, sir.
And I've had fun every second of it. And and after all my adventures, United Wrestling Network opened the door to come back home, and I've been home ever since. And I'm just so happy where everything's going. You and your lovely Maria have been just such a shot in the arm to everything that we do, and have taken us to a whole nother level. It's fun again and exciting, and I just love the family and the team dynamic we have going right now.
Oh, me too, man. I really appreciate that. But for real, how did the Undertaker thing come about? Real quick. Tell me that story.
It was when I was in talks with them and stuff, so I got a shot as an extra. So here's the abridged version, because it's quite a story.
I bet.
We're sitting there in our cloaks. We're getting ready. This was Undertaker, Randy Orton, okay, WrestleMania 21. One of the other Druids and I have to run and go to the restroom really quick. He's a little bit ahead of me. We have to go through catering to get there. We're wearing our cloaks, feel like, a couple of dummies. I get to the bathroom. I'm in a hurry to get back. I whip open the door, and it gets about halfway, and I just hear this thud and feel this thud. I peek around the corner, and there's Batista in the mirror spraying himself down, getting ready. He gives me the dirtiest look you've ever seen, because I just hit him. Druid hit him with the door. He was wrestling Triple H for the World Heavyweight title that night. Huge match. And we get back to, kind of our spot to get ready to go out. And the guy that was ahead of me, Funky Billy Kim, Southern California wrestler, goes, "Oh man, I feel so bad. I hit Batista with the door," and then it just hit me. I was the second Druid in the span of 30 seconds to slam Batista with the door.
Oh no!
Yeah. So no wonder he looked pissed. He wasn't Drax. He wasn't Drax yet, but he looked like he wanted to destroy our ass.
Very good. Thank you for that, Todd Keneley. You the man. Anything you want to send out to Memphis?
We love the fan base out there. I loved last week the Bateman Maurice Isaacs. When it was censored, it was black and white. It felt like an old school match. And then I saw a pile driver in there. Memphis wrestling has such a legacy, and we're just so happy to bring a little bit of our West Coast wrestling out to you. And just so happy that the Memphis audience, which is a true professional wrestling audience, has embraced our product, and you can't ask for a better compliment than that.
Right. You got to end it with the catchphrase. Give me the catchphrase, Todd.
It's only a matter of time. I know we've been sitting on ready, but very soon it'll once again be time to fight on.
The Championship Wrestling Rewind is brought to you by BFree CBD.
Todd freaking Keneley, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely love him. Big fan of his work and hope one day to be in the same conversation as him in the broadcasting world. We'll absolutely have to have him back on. Those stories are tremendous. But let's rewind back to Saturday's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, where we relived the formation of the group now known as Static. And you all know how myself and my Maria and probably Memphis in general feel about Ray Rosas, but it kicked off with Watts versus Ray Rosas, a match that I was on commentary for. And this was actually before he put his hands on my Maria, Ray Rosas. He was taken out in one punch. Watts, one punch victory over Ray Rosas, and this is where it all broke down. Ray Rosas snapped on Jordan Clearwater, turned on the fans, and you know what's so weird about it is since then, he's found a way to win. Even if he is nasty. And he orchestrated this whole thing. So the next match on Championship Wrestling was Bateman and Andy Brown answering an open challenge from Vermin. But the story here is after Bateman and Andy Brown pick up the victory, Ray Rosas appears. And Andy Brown attacks Bateman. So he's recruited Andy Brown here. And then the third and final match, the main event, which had a huge highlight package. Shout out to Evan for putting that together. But it showed the story of Adrian Quest on his quest for gold and just how he won the title from Royce Isaacs, the United TV title, only to have to relinquish it because the match wasn't official, sanctioned, or however you want to say it. So here he is, has to hand the title back over to Nico Marquez. He even went through a battle with Jamie Iovine. So he gets his rematch. He loses. Quest couldn't beat him, so he joined him, and there's your formation of the group known as Static. And whether you like them or not, man, they have all the gold. The United World Tag Team titles for Andy Brown and Adrian Quest. Ray Rosas is the Arizona State Champion and has the PP3 Cup, which he says he wants to cash in for Watts' Heritage title. We'll see how that breaks down, but you can watch episode 61 in full on our official YouTube channel at CW30 Wrestling. And of course, I went live for our live reaction on the YouTube page. So thanks for everybody who joined me there. And also, to rewind back to last week, there is new programming from the United Wrestling Network social media channel. So I was a part of The Push on Thursday night. It was live with myself, head referee, senior official Nick Bonanno, and of course, Danny Limelight Rivera, where we interviewed Danny and got a lot of behind-the-scenes stories and about that promo package that was 2.5 minutes of his life and where he came from and all that good stuff. So I did that on Thursday. You can go check that out on United Wrestling Network, YouTube, or Facebook. And I've been invited back next week, so I'm not sure who we'll be interviewing, but be on lookout for that. Plus, Tuesday night is the debut of the Marquez Mentality with my partner David Marquez. So I'm not sure if I'm a part of that, but you definitely want to check it out. Dave has all sorts of insights and knowledge, and he's going to have multiple guests on that show, and that's going to be each and every Tuesday night. So be sure to subscribe and like United Wrestling Network.
The Championship Wrestling Lookout is brought to you by BFree CBD.
Available right now, My Maria has a special interview on www.stspod.club where she revealed her top 10 slaps of all time and very funny stories to go along with that countdown. It's fun stuff, especially if you want to know more about us and our history in the wrestling business. My Maria has that interview. It's available now with Brian Trammell. www.stspod.club. Then, of course, on Thursday, you can catch me on Sports 56 Mornings with Peter and CJ talking pro wrestling. They have a text line where you can actually text in questions while we're chatting. Be on lookout for that on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Central as I ride over to FedEx Forum for an all-new Grind City Wrestling. You can listen anywhere in the world, either of those. Sports56WHBQ.com, where you can click Listen Live. And then, of course, Grind City Wrestling is available at grindcitymedia.com/podcasts. And then next Saturday, the Wolf Zaddies are in tag team action. Plus, Zicky Dice, outlandish. He's going against the Neon Phenomenon Anthony Idol. Should be interesting with some brand new commentary from Anthony Idol himself. Then, the main event. It's a fatal 4-way women's match. Heather Monroe versus Simone Cherie versus Sandra Moon versus Lacey Ryan. Oh, yeah. And Houston Body will be at ringside. That one is going to be wild indeed. Plus, I'm going to be on the road at EPW in Boonville, Mississippi to talk to my buddy Neil Taylor about their plans moving forward, including a live event in Corinth, Mississippi at the Sportsplex. That's happening Saturday. Tickets are available right now at epwwrestlingms.com. It's a 5 p.m. bell time presented by Corinth Fitness Factory, but EPW from Boonville will be featured Saturday on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle.
This Saturday on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle.
Oh!
The Wolf Zaddies are in action, plus a women's division fatal 4-way.
Oh, yeah!
Saturday at noon on CW30 Memphis.
It's time for this week's Mailbag. Mailbag.
It's my favorite segment each and every week where I answer your questions in the mailbag. And these came from my Instagram story at Dustin Starr. So first question, how bad do you have the urge to body slam someone? Oh my gosh. All day, every day. Please let me body slam someone. I'm going to go body slam Brady. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. But every single day I want to body slam someone. Next question, what's your favorite band? Man, that's a tricky one. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I know growing up, as I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, had to be Ozzy Osbourne. My first concert was Ozzy, Sepultura, and Typo Negative. I think right now I jam out pretty good to Eric Church. I've always liked David Nail. So I've got several favorites, but I don't know if I have a favorite. Next question, thoughts on NBA possibly starting in August? Oh man, I love it. And just to give you a little peek behind the curtain, I can't say too much, but I got the call from the Memphis Grizzlies this week, and they have some fun stuff coming up. So follow them at MemGrizz, and when this playoff run happens, we're going to have a lot of fun with it, even if we can't be there live. So follow at MemGrizz for the updates, but I am stoked about the NBA starting up in August. And I think that is accurate, and I think it will take place in Orlando. Next question, which wrestlers have you emulated with your in-ring persona? Man, that's a great question, because I've mixed in several of my faves, but I try to do it in a way to where it's subtle. It's not like totally stealing it. For instance, Scott Steiner. He does push-ups, he flexes, and he kisses his muscle. Well, I do push-ups, and I flex, and I kiss my Maria. And flexing across the ring from Scott Steiner and just yelling, oh yeah, at him, that was bucket list, man. I loved that. Buff Bagwell, he's another one that became a friend of mine, but he flexes and he also struts. And so I know my strut is different than his, but growing up watching him, I've kind of incorporated a little bit of that. And then, of course, Brian Christopher. Just that filthy strut that he would always do. And then the oh yeah. Now, he never yelled out, oh yeah, in the ring or anything. But backstage or in car rides, you would hear him go, oh yeah. And I just took that. And when people yelled, oh yeah, back to me, it's like, man, I've got something here. Ric Flair, he always had the prettiest lady in the room walking him to the ring. Well, my Maria, I feel like, is the prettiest lady in any room. So she comes to the ring with me. And then also spots inside the squared circle where you kind of have to slip on a banana peel, for your opponent and sell. That was what, Flair and Lawler were always good at. And just the way that Jerry Lawler always, seemed so cool and connected to the fans, and just the way he sold whatever it is that hurt. So there's a lot of stuff that I've gotten from guys over the years. That's a great question, though. But you can see some of those mannerisms in my matches. And you might hear some Chris Jericho in my promos, I've been told. But, hey, man. That's why I'm doing it. I'm a fan of all this. All right, last question of the week. Ready to get back to some normalcy? Are you kidding me? Oh, yes, I'm ready to get back to some normalcy. Dave & Buster's opens up on Wednesday. We are very, very close to being able to have our pay-per-view watch parties again. And of course, big things are in the plans for Championship Wrestling right here in Memphis, too. So the quicker we can get back to some normalcy, the more fun and the more new things that we'll be able to bring to you each and every week. But thank you guys for all the awesome questions. We'll do it again right here on the Mailbag next week.
Thanks for listening to the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFreeCBD.com.
That's right. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to check out BFreeCBD.com, and the signs are up. Location coming soon to Memphis. I've been following them on social media. Can't wait for the grand opening. But remember, they ship all over the world. And if you take CBD, or if you've been thinking about trying it, certainly try BFree CBD. Also, you can like them on Facebook. And we're going to catch you right here next week. I'll be joined by another special guest. And real quick, before I go, just want to let everybody know that I love you guys, and I don't care what color you are. And until next week, I am Dustin Starr, saying so long, everybody.